this video, I just want you guys to see the scale of the protest. This is insane. Look at the number of people who are showing up. And again, I know that the number of people who are showing up in a protest is not a good way of figuring out what percentage of what people think what. For that, I have statistics. Okay, I have scientifically collected data, and I will show you that. But again, but look at the protests. Look at the number of people on the streets. Look at this. Holy moly. Look at the people. Guys, how many people showed up? This is insane. I think these are the greatest protests in Middle East history. I think that is crazy. I think that we shouldn't have a deal with Hamas here for a ceasefire, not out of principles. I am actually being a consequentialist here. So sometimes you might have to negotiate with evil. It's true. Sometimes you might have to do a deal with absolute evil for pragmatic reasons. If the benefit is outweighs the cost, then yes, sometimes you actually have to even negotiate with terrorists. But here in this specific case, the benefits do not outweigh the cost. They do not outweigh the cost. And let me actually show you why. And I will get into more videos. By the way, guys, I have a video that I'm going to show you at the end of the stream that you're not going to see anywhere else that will basically make a lot of my points for me. Okay. So, but let me show you what I'm talking about here. Okay. I don't know why a lot of people are calling it the Philadelphia corridor. I think it's the Philadelphia corridor. I don't know why a lot of American media is calling it a Philadelphia. I think they mistook it, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It's the Philadelphia, I think, corridor, right? This is wrong. The picture is wrong, but you can see where it is, right? The This is Gaza. That's the Philadelphia corridor. That's Egypt. You can see where the Rafah Pass is, right? I think it's like 100-meter wide or something. And again, this is Hamas wants Israel to give this up. Hamas wants Israel to give this up for the release of, I don't know, hostages or ceasefire or whatever. And yeah, that is insane. That is basically the breathing room for Hamas. This entire point of invading Gaza was to be able to remove Hamas's capacity to wage war in Israel. Giving up this corridor, this is basically the life. This is the lifeline. This is where all the missiles and all the guns come to Gaza for Hamas to use against Israelis. This is obviously shouldn't be giving them that. And again, Hamas is not going to accept any form of deal. So some people in Israel are like, okay, just give it to them. Let's get the hostages, and if we need to, we could take it back again anytime we want. Obviously, Hamas is not going to accept any deal where that would be possible. Hamas is asking for an international deal with guarantees from Israel's allies that once they have this, Israel is not going to come back. They want that sort of a deal. They're not that stupid. Obviously, they're not going to give up their hostages for just temporarily giving up the corridor. So, and okay, so another criticism for Netanyahu is like, if this corridor was such a big deal, then why did you start all the way from the north and came down instead of just coming up and capturing this corridor to begin with, right at the beginning of the war? That is a fair criticism, and I don't know why that is. And I suspect the reason why they didn't, Israel, the IDF didn't, maybe some people, again, this might be a conspiracy theory. Again, this is not my suggestion, but some people are saying that maybe Israel's plan was to push the Gazans into Egypt, and that's why they went all the way from the north to the south, and that eventually that didn't actually work out. But I don't know if that was their plan, but it strategically made sense for them to start from the north and the middle and the south all at the same time and close the corridor from right at the beginning. But they didn't do that, so that's a fair criticism. But regardless, what they did as a mistake before, they shouldn't give this up. You are going to have more October 7th if you give up this corridor. You're going to have more hostages if you give up this corridor. Roy is saying the images that were shown are from Tel Aviv. Yes, Let me actually show you some more videos. But guys, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Tell me why I'm wrong. Because I don't, the position that I'm right now in is a lot of the family of hostages. I am look at the difficult position I am in. I'm here trying to support Israel, and a lot of Israelis want a ceasefire right now and protesting in the streets. I am pro protest. I am pro like people being able to hold the government responsible. And then at the same time, I'm disagreeing with these protesters in Israel, and I'm disagreeing with the family of the hostages. This is a very uncomfortable position for me, and that's why I want you guys in the live chat to tell me if I am wrong, right? What am I being? Am I? What's the mistake that I'm making here? Also, another thing is all of these protests are reward. Okay, this is going to. I have to. This is going to come off as really heartless if I say this out loud, but I have to say it, guys. I'm not trying to be heartless, okay? And I'm not trying to suggest that, oh, you guys are like pro Hamas or anything, okay? But this is rewarding Hamas. I'm just telling you objectively, this is rewarding the killing of hostages. Hamas has no power over the Israeli government, but the Israeli people have power over the Israeli government. And Hamas can see what they cannot do with missiles, they can do with the killing of hostages. They have turned Israel on their own government, and they have successfully done that with the killing of the hostages. This is a signal to Hamas that the killing of the hostages works. So this encourages more killing of hostages. Do you understand? This is why people say you don't negotiate with terrorists, because the reason is because then you're rewarding them doing more terrorism. So if you negotiate with if you are pressuring, even if you want Netanyahu to go away, you have to do it on your own terms. Like if you are an Israeli that wants to get rid of Netanyahu at some point, you shouldn't do maximum pressure in response on Netanyahu at a point where Hamas has killed your hostages, because then it's not you who have removed Netanyahu, it's Hamas that has removed Netanyahu. Hamas is now able to doing something that it shouldn't have the power to do. Anyways, let me actually look at the next video, guys. This is the family of one of the hostages. I think the American one, yes, Hirsch. This is the father of Hirsch, and this is before they were killed, right? So they were asked an important question a few months ago, and they say, why haven't any of the names of? Okay, I will just let it play so you guys can listen to him while I get the other data. Father of Hirsch.
We saw people holding signs in New York that said, kill the hostages. How is that a thing, and why is that a thing? Like, who wants to kill innocent hostages?
What the hell? We had Americans holding the signs. Like, these are anti-Israeli protesters holding signs, kill the hostages? That's insane.
We saw people holding signs in New York that said, kill the hostages. How is that a thing, and why is that a thing? Like, who wants to kill innocent hostages?
Today marks 257 days since the terrorist group Hamas attacked Israel, killed about 1,200 people, and took more than 250 people hostage. There are 8 hostages with dual American Israeli citizenship, including your son. 5 of them, including your son, are believed to be alive, 3 of them not. Are you surprised that more isn't made in American media and by American politicians about the fact that there are 5 presumably living American hostages being held by a terrorist group in Gaza?
I definitely
not. Are you surprised that more isn't made in American media and by American politicians about the fact that there are 5 presumably living American hostages being held by a terrorist group in Gaza?
I definitely think it is shocking that the vast majority of Americans have no idea that there are 8 U.S. citizens currently, right now as we're speaking, being held hostage in Gaza. I feel so strongly that I have these memories when Brittany Griner was being unjustly detained, and of course Evan Gershkovich, who's still being detained. These,
right, and Trevor Reed and Paul
household
Whelan.
names. Household names. The vast majority of Americans have no idea that these 8 U.S. citizens are being held. It's already 257 days, and I find
it's unbelievable. Like, what is wrong with America? Okay, like Israelis, all like the Israeli hostages are household names in Israel. How is it that Americans, not only these, they don't know the names of the hostages of their fellow citizens, they don't even know that there are American hostages. Most Americans don't even know that there are American hostages in Israel. Like, do Israelis just care more about their fellow citizens than Americans?
find it just shocking. People also aren't aware that of the 120 remaining hostages, that they are representatives of 24 different nations. They are Christians, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists. I very rarely hear anyone advocating for the Muslim Arabs who are being held, or the Thai Buddhists being held, or the Black African Christians being held. They're Nepalese, Argentinians, Germans, Polish. You just don't hear it. They try, and I don't know who they is, but the world is trying to create this monolithic, homogenous group of people, and it's an absolute disservice and injustice to those people being held.
And John, we're all about the same age. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the American hostages being held in Iran. Obviously a different circumstance, but the whole country wore yellow ribbons. Nightline started because of that crisis. Day 34, day 115. Does it surprise you? And what do you think, why do you think it is?
It disappoints me, and I was thinking about it this morning. I don't get much exercise nowadays, but jet lagged, up early, and running around Washington, you just feel the city, the country, the United States is steeped in emancipation, liberty, freedom. Today's Juneteenth that we're celebrating. Americans don't like people being held against their will, certainly not other Americans. So it's disappointing that there isn't more conversation, and it's surprising because it's something that is so core to the United States of America. We have people being held. We got to do everything we can to get them out. And one step of that is awareness. The country should be talking about this, should know about it. They should know the 8 names of the Americans who are being held.
What did you make of I'm sure you know about this, the Brooklyn Museum had an exhibit about the Nova Music Festival where your beloved son was taken hostage and so many innocent people were killed, and there were actually protesters, not just anti-Israel or pro-Palestinian, literally pro-Hamas protesters there belittling the pain, justifying the slaughter in the streets of New York.
It's totally astonishing. We say all the time, if you want to be out supporting the Palestinians, we have no problem with that. That's totally understandable. But that it gets conflated with having to be anti something else. We saw people holding signs in New York that said, "Kill the hostages." How is that a thing, and why is that a thing? Like, who wants to kill innocent hostages? We were in a restaurant here in Washington, D.C. last night, a fast food restaurant, and somebody walked into the restaurant and said to the workers, "Is this place Zionist? Who are the owners of this place?"
Oh my God.
I mean, we're witnessing this stuff that we kind of hear about from afar, and it is astonishing. 2024 in America.
It is a very, very small, loud minority, and I just want to make sure you know that most of the American people are hoping and praying that Hirsch gets home soon, and we certainly feel that way here on The Lead and on CNN. Rachel and John, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for continuing to tell the story.
Well, he didn't get home. He didn't get home because, and I blame Biden more than I would blame Netanyahu for this.